but the Rico Hines runs. Great footage. I hope everybody got a chance to watch it. 43 minutes of Pistons content you didn't know you needed in your life today.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, so I thought that they were just there for the one-time thing. Apparently, they're there like for a full week, and we only saw like one day of that. So there's like a week of footage we haven't even seen yet.
They were playing pretty well. I was surprised by them only going to 7. I didn't feel like that was enough. But when you have so many teams and so many players there, and I think it's like 3 courts going simultaneously, which is pretty cool. But I wanted more because 7 just feels too short. But I do like how they end the games. Like you could be winning 7-4, but you got to make a free throw to actually officially end the game, which I thought was pretty cool. But what were your impressions from the Rico Hines runs?
I thought that the Clippers team was probably the most seasoned team out there. They had the most vets. Seemed like every time I watched, they were just kicking somebody's ass. But, I mean, that's what happens when you have Norm Powell and Robert Covington out there. And Bones Highland definitely wanted to smoke with Cade Cunningham.
Oh, yeah, I could not tell who it was. For some reason, I thought it was like Emmanuel Quickly until I saw the Clippers stuff. But I was like, man, whoever that guy is, he is really getting after Cade. Then Cade showed out in that game, getting the last shot, I believe, to actually win it. But it was pretty cool. But what I am impressed, though, with how many players that have already said that. But what were you impressed specifically about the Pistons?
So I did take some notes. So I wanted to start with Ausar first, and then we can kind of just work down my list.
Okay.
Dude, his defense. It's like a real, like, it's not just a summer league thing, which some people are like, dude, it's summer league. He's playing against G League players, right?
Yeah.
And he was going up against like veteran NBA players and giving them fits. Like there was a play where he deflected the ball and he went, coast to coast and just had an easy basket. Like, to me, I think his defense really stood out in these runs.
That was one of the notes I took too, was his defense. Like, I think it'd be so easy to use your hands and like check people that way when you're playing in an open run. But hands didn't get in the way. He was able to recover real quickly, fight around screens because they actually were, throwing some screens out there. He got a nice block and he was quickly able to get out in transition. But what I really liked about his game, and I'm just going to switch it to the offensive side, he didn't really force anything offensively, but he made an impact with his defense and being able to push it in transition. Like, I think he's a day one starter, and like, it is just Rico Hines footage, but he looked like a day one starter. That defense looks real special next to Cade and Jaden Ivey.
I mean, he hit an open 3 too, I believe, to end the game. So, I mean, like, it's so funny. Before we went live, I got a notification from Pistons Reddit that they're doing like a docu-series with Overtime Elite. I think airing September 6th on Amazon Prime, and Ausar is going to be in it. So I'm really excited to watch that. But like, just like his two-way possibility for me has me excited, because like that's like the type of forward that we need on this team if we're going to be a playoff team down the road.
Oh, one more thing about his defense, though, because I mean, you really surprised me with the documentary talk. But I mean, is it Pistons Reddit that is doing a documentary with Overtime Elite, or is it Overtime Elite doing it with the Pistons?
I think one of the producers just sent it in Pistons Reddit, because I got like a notification.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
From Reddit, and I was like, oh, Amazon Prime's doing a documentary with Overtime Elite. And there was like a little, I'll send you the trailer later, but there was like a little trailer talking about Ausar, and like, if he's going to be a great player, he's going to have to, shoot better at the next level. But like, it got me hyped. I was like, dude, like, I need a documentary series in the summer, because there's like another month without basketball and I'm starving over here.
I will say, I wish the Detroit Pistons, well, I know we're going off topic here for a second, but their Pistons TV on YouTube, I wish they do more under the hood videos. Those are actually really cool. I was checking out some of their content, and it's pretty sweet how they put that all together. I just wish they did more of it. But one more thing about Ausar's defense, not falling for pump fakes, not looking like a rookie.
No.
That, I think it was around like the 25-minute mark. I think they were playing, I want to say, against the New York Knicks squad. That's what it looked like. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was the Clippers. But one of their point guards, he like threw 3 pump fakes up and he did not bite at all. And I think he actually got a block on that play for when he passed it. The guy passed it off and got the ball back. Great recovery, but not falling for pump fakes.
Yeah, he just looked like a really complete player out there in Rico Hines, and I'm happy for him. I think him getting that kind of I don't want to say I think it's good experience. Because I know some people will just say, dude, it's open runs. It's not like real basketball. These are competitive runs. I think it's good for him having a strong summer league and then working against, veteran teams like the 76ers. I think the Lakers were in there and the Clippers. So those are all great teams. They all made the playoffs last year. So, and he was up for the challenge. His defense to me, I thought was a real big positive, but I did want to transition to Jaden Ivey
Okay, go ahead.
because I thought his 3-point shot was falling. And it kind of looked like, the end of last year where he was shooting 35% from 3. Like the 3-point shot looks great.
I had a couple notes on Jaden Ivey. I did briefly write down that his jump shot looked good. It looked like he was finding better spots along the perimeter, like realizing these are my spots and he was getting to them. That was really nice. I felt like he forced things a little bit. Like that's still a part of his game. Like those are the habits he needs to break. But one thing I wanted to talk about, I've talked about it on this podcast. Now that Cade Cunningham's back and he's not going to really have to play the point guard and have too much responsibility on that side, you're going to see a different energy defensively. And I felt like we were seeing that in some of the Rico Hines footage. There wasn't a ton of clips, but he was aggressive, trying to gamble to make steals. And I think that's something he'll do more of this year and be more comfortable knowing Jalen Duren is protecting the rim back there. But I like that from Jaden Ivey, that aggressiveness defensively.
Yeah, I think it was one of the first games that they played, and Jaden Ivey wasn't giving up any kind of position defensively. Like he was trying to fight through screens. He was moving his feet, and like you said, he's not going to have that offensive responsibility where I have to be the guy. I have to be that number one option. And I think you saw that in the Rico Hines runs because Cade Cunningham had the ball in his hands 90% of the time in these runs, and Jaden just kind of played off Cade, and we were kind of wondering last week, like, hey, can Jaden take that? Like, say, okay, I'm going to be the second option. I don't have to beat the first option. I'll just pass it to Cade, and I think he can fit into that secondary role where he doesn't have the ball in his hands, and he can just kind of play off Cade or Duren.
Speaking of the way those two played together, real quick, another note that I had when Jaden Ivey was bringing the ball up as the point guard, I like that Cade was looking for his spots off the ball, getting into the post, using his size. Like, I thought that would have to be a big step for them this coming season, primarily on Cade. Like, how is he going to play off the ball? Because I feel like that's the next step in his evolution as a player to become more complete. You can't always just be a ball dominant guard. You have to find other ways to score and get open looks. And I thought he did a little bit of that. And I think that's going to be something we see more of heading into the regular season, and that was pretty cool to see from Cade.
Yeah, I was just really impressed with him knocking down his 3-pointers and his defense. The next note I had was Cade Cunningham and his jump shot.
Yep.
The release looks quicker and it looks really consistent. I mean, he was taking some deep mid-range jump shots, and every time he shot it, I thought it was going in. And like his form just looks automatic.
Yeah, his form looked great off the dribble. He was able to create space while dribbling. That was really cool. He had a nice fadeaway, and I think it was one of the earlier games where it was a little turnaround, kicked his leg out. That was a nice shot. He had a 3 too as well. That looked real clean. Like he just feels more confident and looks stronger from like the legs up, getting his jump shot off. And it looked real smooth. There was no hesitation, wasn't favoring a leg, wasn't doing anything like that. Just a real clean looking jumper from Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, he had a dunk too, which I was like, okay, I see you. I mean, like,
didn't he catch a
we don't really talk about like Cade Cunningham like athletically of like, oh, this guy's gonna like get a poster, but like he does have bunnies if he wants to get up there. But I was really impressed with just his form looks a lot quicker. Seems like he's not really favoring anything, getting to his spots at will. I know the first game his handle was kind of loose, but as he warmed up, he wasn't really turning the ball over as much.
Yeah. Did you make a note of their chemistry, him and Duren's chemistry?
Yeah, it's one of my last notes.
Okay,
But we can get that to that now, and then we can talk about Isaiah Stewart after.
go ahead.
Um,
What did
I
you have
think
with?
the I think the Cade and Duren chemistry is going to be a problem. I really do. Those two together, there were so many lobs. There was just they were constantly looking for each other. The way Duren screened for Cade, the way they just dominated defensively and offensively. I told you last week, I think they could possibly have a similar season to what Reggie Jackson and Andre Drummond had when they were a top 5 pick and roll offense in the league under Stan Van Gundy. I think Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren can have a similar effect under Monty Williams.
Dude, I don't know if it looked like it to you, but it looked like they had been playing together for years. They like Cade, the way he was dropping the ball off to him, right in a position for Duren to grab it, strong hands and going straight up. Wasn't behind him, wasn't ahead of him. It was right where it needed to be. That chemistry is on point. I think those two together and running that pick and roll is going to be a huge part of the offense. And Duren's going to get so many easy buckets just by moving. Like he was getting them with the pick and roll, he was getting them in transition just by running a straight line to the basket. He's probably going to get like 8 points a game just by running the floor. And it was incredible. One thing I would have liked to see from him, because I know he hit an outside shot in the footage that they showed, I would have liked to see him just kind of, I mean, I get why it's so important for him and Cade to be working on that partnership and that pick and roll game, but it would have been nice to see him take a few more jumpers because I feel like that is going to be another step in his evolution as an offensive player. But him to hit that mid range, be more of a pick and pop big man, that'd be pretty nice. But his defense looked good too. His footwork and the way he was able to keep up with guys, you see a real future where if they were just going to switch everything, that he's not going to get lost on that side of the ball just because his athletic ability allows him to recover really quickly, but his feet, like just being able to stay in front of guys that are much smaller than him, that was pretty impressive too.
He looked like the strongest guy on the court.
Yeah, that's for
But
sure.
some of the dunks he was pulling off around the rim, like those were not easy dunks. Like his body was contorted and he was sideways. Like if you go back and watch some of the dunks that he was doing, I'm like, that's not an easy dunk. Like, mind you, he's still, I believe he's still 19. He may be 20. I don't know his birthday off the top of my head, but like just some of the dunks and the way he was finishing around the rim was really encouraging for me. And he is a top 10 center, by the way, Bleacher Report.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that though later. We need to bring that up. But what notes did you have about Isaiah Stewart?
So Isaiah Stewart, I love the effort. I love the hustle. But his jump shot looked a lot quicker. Like the release.
Yes.
Like I went back and watched an old game because I still paid for Bally and I didn't even know I paid for it. So I'm gonna go watch an old game of Isaiah Stewart. And his release from the outside, I'm not saying it's slow by any means, but in this Rico Hines footage, like seems like his release got a lot quicker, and that's probably something he's been working on a lot this summer. And to me, that's really encouraging. And he was knocking down some pretty deep 3-pointers in those runs.
The thing I most noted about his shot was there was no hesitation. It was up and out of his hands real quickly. It's not, he didn't hesitate. He didn't think for a second, should I take this shot or whatever? He just let it go and it looked a lot smoother. That was my biggest takeaway from him. Because that hustle and the effort's going to be there every game. That motor's always going to be running. So I'm not worried about that. I was just seeing his shot in Rico Hines. If he was the starter going forward and they wanted to start Bojan at the 3 for some reason instead of Ausar, I'd be okay with it just because that's how good the shot looked. Like I have so much faith in him taking the next step this year, I believe his 4th year coming in. So yeah, I was impressed with the shot, man. I really was. There's not much more to say about it. It looked good. It looked smooth and there was no hesitation.